Welcome to Art Talk Tuesday.
Welcome to another episode of Art Talk Tuesday. Have a new piece up for you. You can see it's a slightly smaller piece than you normally see from me, but I wanted to try to do something with some smaller work. I've been working at a very large scale for the last 8 pieces or so. Decided I wanted to do something a little smaller. This piece is approximately 9 inches high by 12 inches wide, so it's very small. It's an acrylic painting painted on wood, as you can see here. And the title of this piece is called The Dreamer. So I've been thinking about this for a while. I had some different pieces of things that kind of came together to inspire me to create this piece. One of them was a photo that I found on Instagram of a friend of mine who's a yogini, yoga instructor, and a model. And I saw a picture of her uh, on her Instagram page and decided that I needed to do something with it. For whatever reason, the picture was done really well. The photographer was really good. Something about the pose that she was in, which you can see here, just looking off, contemplating, really made me wanted to do something with that photo. At the same time, I've been going through some things myself, trying to figure out what the new direction is for my art, for my life. I've decided to expand my market out to a slightly broader reach. I've been mostly concentrating here in Alameda County, in the Bay, and wanted to expand. So trying to figure that out and just, what's the next direction? What's the next thing? I've been feeling like I've kind of been in a holding pattern. Things are going really well right now. But what's the next direction? We always have to seek for a little bit more growth. So what else do I want to do with myself? What else do I want from my life? And I realized that there were some dreams that I had that I kind of placed on the shelf because I thought that maybe they were unrealistic or I wasn't going to be able to achieve them. But I think I had to grow into the person who could achieve them or who can achieve them. And so I'm in a different place now. So really reevaluating what I want, where I want to go, what I want the rest of my life to look like. And so beginning to form that image and just starting to dream again and think about what that means. And that's part of the inspiration for this piece. Did a lot of listening and I was brought back by spirit to the old song by the Brand New Heavies, Dream On Dreamer. Many of you may know that song. Listen to that song ad infinitum while I was painting this piece and just really wanted to get that idea with this piece about the whole notion of dreaming, because dreams have to do not only with uh, being asleep or that type of thing, but also with the idea of contemplation. The dream is a nexus point where the imagination, contemplation, and fantasy all come together. Many ancients believe that that spirits spoke to us through our dreams. I definitely believe that. I've encountered it myself. Um, and so spirit speaks to us through metaphor and symbol. And so the better we are able to interpret those metaphors and symbols and even recognize them through the course of our day and our daily life, and particularly in our dreams, the better we are able to navigate some of the things in our life. And that's kind of what this piece is about, this whole idea of dreaming, of contemplation, of looking towards the future. So I've included a lot of various elements here. So I'm going to jump right in. Obviously, the figure herself, the central figure, she's in a recline, repose state. You can see she's very relaxed, just looking off out into the horizon, into the sunset, looking out off toward the future, because that's what we do when we dream, when we contemplate. We look out towards the future, looking out beyond the horizon. So I wanted that sense of vast expanse that she's looking into, because the future, we don't know what it holds. It can be whatever we choose to make it to be. And so this idea of looking out into this vast expanse of space, that's why I put the landscape here. Also, you see the figures in silhouette, so there's light coming in. We get this sense of there's light touching the figure. Light is always a symbol of what? Vision, of insight, of illumination. And so as we dream, as we contemplate, as we look to the future, and even in our sleeping dreams, we have this idea of being illuminated. We get insights from spirit, insights from the divine, insights from our unconscious, and they illuminate our conscious mind. And she's in a waking state. So this light coming in, providing illumination, providing insight, so that she can see the vastness before her and begin to try to make something out of that, to what? Manifest whatever it is that is inside in the deeper parts. So we can see this light here as the illumination, and then all this here is what's below the surface. The darkness is what's below the surface, that which we cannot see, but is still active and alive and working within us, working within our lives. And this is where we manifest from. All creation comes from what? Nothing. And so we create from that same place. The universe does its work in complete silence and darkness. And yet we have this world and we have all the things that we have through that silence and that darkness. And so playing around with this idea, that's why I put a lot of shading in the figure, a lot of areas that can be a little bit more, a little bit less ambiguous. Many of you know, you've heard from my other videos that I like to play with the surface. So we get that push and pull. Some areas will be very flat where you can see some of the surface and the texture. And then other areas will be very highly modeled so that you can see developing the forms of that push and pull that I kind of try to do throughout the composition. You can see here I've got some fantasy elements, right? This is a tree nymph. We've got a couple of fairies. We've got a mermaid here because they represent that whole idea of fantasy. When we think about dreams, often they're fantastical. We get things and things switch and things happen that we would never be able to see in reality, in real life, but yet in dreams, they seem so real. So this whole idea of the fantastic, the fantasy, because when you're dreaming, you can be whatever you want to be. You're charting whatever you want your life to look like, whatever you want things to look like. And in these dreams, like I said, we have these symbolic beings, symbolic things that come to us. So how do we interpret these metaphors? Obviously, these are beings of higher light, higher vibration. And depending on what tradition you're talking about, they can be malevolent or they can be beneficent. Often we'll see in some traditions, you see the mermaids are evil creatures that will lure men to their death. In other traditions, they're beings that help them to find their way if they're lost at sea. So it just depends on where you are. Same thing with the fairy. They have fairies that are nice and will help you, and then there are others that are just troublesome and problematic. So I'm playing with this whole idea of these higher beings and being in touch with higher light. And you see I have the angel here also, which is a symbol of the divine, of the spiritual guidance as well, being there. The angel's right there in front of her, mirroring what's going on with her. Also here with the moon, the whole idea here is this idea of this being another world. When we enter the dream state, we're going into another world. Some would say a higher state of being, higher vibrational realities. Some would say it's just, the manifestations of your subconscious. Whatever you may believe, there are other worlds that we encounter in our dreams, and they're nothing like our world. So I wanted to kind of symbol this whole idea of otherworldliness with these buildings and this stuff here. And also you see it's coming out of the darkness. As I said, creation does its work in silence and darkness. So this coming out of this darkness, which can also represent the darkness of our subconscious. And so things rise up, bubble up to the surface, right? To the light. They rise up into the light of consciousness, and then we can interpret them. We can understand them. And so this whole idea of this being manifested through the darkness, this other world, through the darkness here. And then we see it's in the figure of the moon. The moon has always been a symbol of light, a symbol of enlightenment, a symbol of dreams-like state, other worlds. We would often, throughout history, we still have ideas around how we contemplate the moon. What is the moon, or full moon, half moon? So this whole notion of the moon being a symbol of that dreamlike state. Also, you see the figure here in the moon is also in a contemplative state. I've also put the facial features to be contemplative, which mirrors what's going on with the face here. They're both facing right toward the west, towards expansion, and they're both in this kind of contemplative, dreamlike state. You could also, seems like the moon is really sleeping, right? And dreaming as this figure is contemplating what's going on. Then we just got the clouds, the vast expanse. The tree is always a symbol of life and also a symbol of grounding. You can tell this here is earth. There's an earth here going on. So we want the figure to be grounded because we are what? We are earthly beings. We are in this physical form, and yet we have the capacity, you see here illustrated in this star, very symbolic, to be more, to do more, be more and do more than we can even say. Sometimes than we even know. And so just we're playing this whole idea of the figure being grounded into the earth, grounded into the physicality of the world, and yet still looking forth, looking out to manifest into the future, into life. So that's what this piece is about. I have not priced it yet. It's probably going to be somewhere around $1,800. You can buy prints on my website. They're available. They're ready to go. If you enjoying these videos, please share them with someone. Please like them. Send them to your friend. My friend, the Yogini, her name is Malika Rubin Davis. You can find her on Instagram at Malika Rubin Davis. Her last name is hyphenated, so it's Rubin Davis. Malika Rubin Davis on Instagram. Also, she has a website, MalikaRubinDavis.com. Please check her out. Go take a class from her. I'm sure you'll enjoy. She's a very good yoga instructor. She's also an artist and a painter and a model. So she's doing a lot of things. I'm going to be like her when I grow up. Thank you for tuning in for another Art Talk Tuesday. Peace.